ladies and gentlemen, and it's story time with Sheldon, and I say Sheldon instead of Cousin Slim because this particular story predates when I was ordained as Slim. No one called me Slim back then. All I ever was Sheldon. But I want to establish a little disclaimer before we get started. This is a story about a girl I used to date, and she's not the one that got away. She's the one I totally fucked over bad. So I just recently here a couple years ago got a hold of her, and I said, I'm not looking for forgiveness. I just want you to know that the way I treated you there towards the end of the relationship has been a pretty heavy anchor on around my mind, because it didn't take too long of growing up that I realized that you don't treat other people like that, and it boils down to Baz Luhrmann's "Everybody needs sunscreen." And if you don't know what that is, I suggest you YouTube it or find it out. But there's a part in it where it says, "Don't be reckless with other people's hearts, and don't put up with other people who are reckless with yours." And so, she got back with me, and she pretty much, she let me off the hook, which really alleviated a lot of stress and weight of the anchor that, it allowed me to talk about some things. And the biggest thing I want to clarify is this is the story of Maggie May and her glass slipper. And we all know her real name ain't Maggie, but I had got contacted with her, and I said, here just in the last couple of days, and I said, I'd like to go live and tell the story about you and your shoe at Robbie's party that one time. And she said, yeah, that's fine. And I said, well, we got three options. I would like to use your real name because it's more fluent and makes it easier for me to speak and tell the story when it's the real name. Or I can go no name and just say this girl, that girl, whatnot, but it gets kind of confusing throughout the story. So, or I can change the name. And she said, okay, yeah, that's fine. Either no name or change the name. So I opted to change the name. And for those of you who are out there, don't be commenting like, oh, her name's not Maggie. It's nope, don't, no. So, and do remember, I am the type of person, I will walk 500 miles to pimp slap a motherfucker too. So, once upon a time ago, I used to date this fiery little redheaded pistol that, oh man, she was something else. And, it must be the irie that flows through me blood, but when it comes to a wee miss in the fair skin with the freckles and the red hair, it makes me shillelagh as hard as the day is long. So, yeah, anyways, and we had this love-hate relationship, and it's not that we really hated each other and loved it. It was the fact that we got in fights all the time because we loved the makeup sex, We would just pick fights with each other just to have the makeup sex. And well, it honestly wound up being one of the most healthy relationships I'd ever been in, because as soon as anything went wrong, the both of us, we threw it out on the table and it was discussed and resolved. There was no going to bed angry. There was no resentment over a couple days. And honestly, it also kind of ruined every other relationship I'd ever been in after that, because Maggie May, she was the type that, as soon as I pissed her off, all of a sudden I would feel the warm wind breeze blowing on my balls. I'd look down and my pants would be around my ankle. She'd be standing behind me, and whatever it was that had upset or pissed her off was abruptly shoved up my ass. So needless to say, after her, I got with your average every other woman in the world. And it, that whole, what's wrong? Nothing. Okay. Then 3 weeks later, you try to get frisky with her, and trying to get frisky once every 3 weeks. It's a married thing, So, you try to get frisky, and it's like, I'm mad at you. Why? Well, because I caught you staring at that blonde's butt in the Costco. Well, you've been to Costco for 3 weeks. You pissed off about something that happens 3 weeks ago? Well, whereas, old Maggie May, she was the type that, shit, if she caught me staring at another woman, well, A, she would just laugh at me. But B, she'd walk up and slap me in the face in public, and the problem would have been resolved right then and there because, like, hey, wham, and what the hell did you do that for? Like, oh, no. And I'm like, well, I don't think you needed to hit me in the face for it. What the hell? But, yeah. So, anyways, we used to have parties at Robbie's house all the time. And the way Robbie's house went was you walked through the front door into the living room. And then in the living room area was one story. And then you walked into the back room, and the back room was the kitchen, dining, bedroom, and then you went upstairs to Robbie's room. And what we did when we were upstairs at a party, we would climb through the window and go smoke and just hang out outside on top of the roof. And one big thing that we always did whenever we had a party was we made everybody take their shoes off, because without the foot traffic, 5 or 25 people, you can't tell. And not only that, not having shoes on kind of helped keep dudes in check, because that's what causes the problem at parties. Stupid drunk dudes. And so when you take their shoes off, they kind of tend to think twice about doing something radically stupid that might, disrupt the party. And, it's kind of like the polar opposite of like having sex with your socks on. It's just, you don't want to do nothing too crazy because A, you got your socks on. And so like if you move her to a kinky position, she'd be like, what do you do with your socks on? And and once you start, you can't stop to take the socks off either, because it's like breaking character in a play. It just ruins the whole fucking thing. And, and if you don't believe me, next time you're having sex, leave your socks on and try something kinky. And I'll guarantee if you go to toss a salad and you're wearing your socks, you're going to feel yourself a damn fool. That's what. So either way, me and Miss Maggie May, we were the type that when we fought, we'd fight in front of anybody. Didn't matter. That couple that like, there's that like, just wait till we get home. And then they fight in the car. And then when they get, me and her, no, hell no. We'd have it out just in front of everybody. No problem. Didn't bother us. And it always went like, we would fight. And then she would go off with the girls, like gaggle of freaking hens, cackling. And what happened after that was I generally had to wander off by myself, because if I went with the dudes, then the dudes would be like, hey man, your woman's really pissed off at me, or your woman's really pissed off at you. And she's talking to my woman, and my woman's giving me the stink eye for just standing next to you, because, yeah, that's how women work like that. And so I went off by myself, and I went upstairs to Robbie's room to go out to smoke. And I noticed right there by the window is Miss Maggie May's shoes. They were like a black, thick, foam, open-toed sandal type with some lacy black material that went over the midfoot to keep the shoe on. And I'll never forget, I was like, all right, let's get even here. And I grabbed that shoe. I go out on Robbie's roof and I throw that son of a bitch as hard as I could. And then I went back in, and me and her, we settled the argument or the fight, whatever. And then we went into Robbie's parents' room to start to make up. And Robbie figures out what's going on, and he comes out. I can hear him yelling down the frickin' hall as he's coming up to the parents' bedroom door. He's like, you fucker did it. And the thing was, the doorknob was locked, but it wasn't latched. And Robbie went up there with like his full body behind him, went with both hands and smacked the door. And when he flying open, and because he put his whole body like into the room, and I'd never seen him move so good. He was like, I opened it up and it was like, oh, just like, and oh, Miss Maggie May, she was such a woman that I just looked over like, what's up, dude? And your normal woman would be like, oh my God, what's going on? Get out of here. Let's do this is over. Oh, Maggie, she just like looked over at Robbie and like, would you get out of here? I'm trying to get off, you know? And it was like, So we made up, and she had a curfew that she honored, unlike the rest of us delinquents. And so when it come time to leave, she couldn't find her shoe. So what I did was I literally, as she like looked throughout the house for the other shoe, I grabbed the one she had and went around to the party going, have you seen this shoe? Have you seen this shoe? Do you know where the possibility of this other shoe is? No? Okay. So come the time she just had to leave, and I'll never forget, I scored some brownie points because I was like, who's that douche-tard that made that movie with all the fucking water in it that failed and shit? But either way, he made this other movie with Whitney Houston called The Bodyguard, and that was exactly what it was like because I carried her to her car, and it was like, Andy! And yes, I'm an aspiring comedian, not vocalist, so haters, just leave your hate at the door. And so anyways, I carry her to her car, give her a good night kiss, and she drives off. And, you know, I was like, after she left, I was like, hey, Robbie, did you see how nice Maggie's tits are? He goes, oh, I didn't say anything but your freaking shiny white ass going up and down. And I was like, because keep in mind, at the time, I was farm boy, you know, bronze Adonis from the freaking waist up, but from the waist down, I was Mr. fucking Bean, you know. And so a couple days goes past, and it's like a Wednesday or some shit. And sitting there at Maggie's locker, hanging out, just average day, and Robbie comes walking right up to us and goes, hey, Maggie, my mom was out mowing the lawn and found your shoe. Now just rewind just a little bit here. I'm pretty quick-witted. So it's not like Robbie came walking up with the shoe in hand, so I could have been, hey, we need to discuss where this shoe was found. Or even that he came up, pulled the shoe out and said, hey, my mom found this shoe in the bedroom. In the bedroom under the bed. Right. Instead, he walked right up and said, my mom was mowing and found your shoe. And Maggie goes like, really? Just like by the door or something? And Robbie, without skipping a beat, goes, no, she found it way over on the other end of the yard by the neighbor's fence. And she just turned and looked at me and was like, you motherfucker, because she'd known exactly what had happened. And the fact that I'd went around helping her try to find the shoe that I knew I'd chucked halfway across the yard, and then was acting like Mr. Hero carrying her to her car. So, like I said, we used to fight a lot just for the makeup section. Yeah, let's just say that was one argument or situation that didn't wind up in makeup sex later.